Today's Mercedes-Benz interview of the day brought to you by Mercedes-Benz EV. The brilliant EQE SUV from Mercedes-Benz, available with the digital light technology. So smart, even the headlamps are thinking. The vehicle all electric, the feeling all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQE-SUV. He's done it again, back-to-back national titles. He's only been at UConn for 6 seasons. He's Danny Hurley back on the program. How do you feel?
Probably a bunch of things. At times, at times probably exhausted. At other times, great elation. At other times, I don't love uncertainty in terms of the roster, so my mind drifts to, what the team's going to look like moving forward. So, just kind of like all over the place, but intermittently, starting to appreciate what we did a lot more when you kind of get those quiet alone time.
Were you dealing with the transfer portal during the tournament?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it openly with the team, and we had a little bit of an issue last year with with players. I think beginning that process before the season ended. We just talked openly to the younger players and, hey, we know the portal's open, but we got a chance to do something special, and you're not missing anything. The portal's going to be open for a long time, and it's going to be total chaos. So if that's the direction you want to go, just honor the season and what we're trying to do historically, and just wait.
Why don't we wait to open the transfer portal until after the tournament?
I don't know. I think that's obviously it makes a ton of sense. Maybe it's the college basketball's version of giving the best draft picks to the worst teams. So the teams whose seasons are over, they get a chance to, while the really good teams are busy playing, they have an opportunity. So maybe they're following the model of pro sports leagues in their drafts.
Have you kind of created the blueprint here, do you think, for what successful college basketball should be and how to build a roster?
It's probably hard to argue against it. Just the kind of the balance between young players that you recruit out of high school, giving you a boost, and then obviously having players that you player develop. Obviously, freshman to sophomore year, big jump. Sophomore to junior year, big jump. And then strategically using the portal, and then obviously, we've got the great resources, but I don't think players come here. Maybe the NIL may be the third or fourth reason why players come here. Maybe the fifth reason why players come here. If it's the primary reason why players come to your program, it's going to be hard to build a championship culture.
How do you think history is going to look at these back-to-back champs?
Well, I think regardless of how these guys' NBA careers go, you look at the analytics. No one has dominated an NCAA tournament the way our team did this year, and I think we're top 5 the last 2 years in terms of domination. But the overall story, the analytics tell obviously a great story about how great this year's team was. It feels like one of the best in the last 25, 30 years based on the efficiency and the quality that we played at. But overall, when you look at it, it's going to depend on how these guys' NBA careers pan out. Unfortunately will be tied to how this team is viewed. So we need Kling Kong and these other guys to go have great careers.
How would your team, whichever team you want to pick, do against your brother's Duke championship teams?
Well, it would have stacked up even better if we were able to bring Hawkins back and Sanogo back and Andre Jackson back to this team. But look at just how we were the number 1 offense in the country. We were one of the top defenses in the country. We were a great rebounding team. All 5 of our starters, it feels like, have a great chance to play in the NBA /lottery picks / So I think it would have been a great game. Obviously, the stopping the point guard on Duke would have been the biggest challenge because Bob is the greatest point guard to ever play in college. So
Oh, you're sucking up to your brother here, aren't you?
yeah, that's I've done it my whole life. And Big Bro is always taking care of me, Dan. So it's the least I could do.
When do you come up with the strategy to let Edie score as much as he wants to score, but you're going to shut down the perimeter?
Well, those scouting things, and obviously it was a quick turnaround from the Alabama game. We had a lot more time to prepare for Alabama than we did for Purdue. That was like a 36-hour turnaround in terms of being ready. So with Kamani Young and Luke Murray, two of the best coaches in the country that alternate scouts, they lay out the game plan, or at least what they would like to do, and then obviously I got to make the ultimate decision on whether I want to go with it. And Luke presented, I think, an awesome game plan. He laid it out to the staff, and in the first 10 minutes, when Edie was kind of having his way in those one-on-ones, I think there might have been a timeout at the under 12 where the staff was starting to attack Luke's plan. Uh, but we trust each other here, and and obviously, for the next 20 minutes before Donovan got in foul trouble, he won a lot more of those one-on-one battles versus Edie. And then obviously, we were able to take control. But Luke was steadfast, and as we were waffling.
He's Dan Hurley, UConn head coach, back-to-back championships. What would make you leave Connecticut?
Maybe just burnout at this point for me, just pushing too hard and probably just breaking down at some point, just because you just can't keep up the intensity and the energy and the output. And then maybe down the road, if I could grow up a little bit, mature a little bit with the emotions, maybe the NBA, down the road.
Why do you want to do that why do you want to do that to yourself? Go to the NBA?
Well, I think college has become like the G League.
Good point.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, it's not that's obviously tongue in cheek, but a lot of the college game has changed. You win a national championship, and obviously we're going to do things, go to the White House, do these. We had the parade, you do these things, but you're basically right into free agency frenzy. So it's I'm more worried about burnout than I am going to the NBA.
What was the conversation like when Kentucky called?
It was really I had a brief conversation with my agent maybe on Sunday, as that news was breaking, and it was would you have an interest if they call? And my answer to that was no. I'm the head coach at the best program in the country. Why would I leave the best program in the country, even if another place is really good or is great? But your agent wants you to try to deflect, because you're at UConn, you want to reward your staff, you want to increase the resources in your program. So your agent is kind of telling you, hey, don't say you're interested, but don't say no, because I got to deal with the UConn people on a lot of things.
Well, yeah, you got to play the game. Even though you want to stay at UConn, you have to give at least maybe the thought that, you know what, maybe somebody else is going to love me a little bit more.
So I looked like a donkey. I pinned it on my wife. I was evasive, but I looked like a donkey the way I was answering things. But privately, all the players, I talked to them about it, and they understood.
When you're out watching these kids in high school and you're seeing everybody wants to be Steph Curry, as a coach, tough-minded, disciplined, like, how nervous does that make you when you see somebody who is jacking from 30 feet away?
Yeah, you just walk away and go, go find somebody else. You go find somebody, that has the traits, obviously the talent piece where they're talented enough, but you really want. I study these kids when I go to the AAU games. I don't play with my phone. I hate my phone. I watch. I watch how these players interact with their coaches, with their teammates. I watch their parents in the stands.
Hmm.
I watch to see if their parents are super critical of their coaches, because if they kill all their coaches, and they're in 4 or 5 different high schools and they change travel teams, they're just going to do the same thing to you. So you just evaluate the person and the people around the person.
Do you get a vacation?
I think we just looked at May, middle of May. I think you're gonna. I think there's like a 2 or 3 day window where it's Jersey Shore time. So, but yeah, I mean, we're going to go about a month here with players that have got to make NBA decisions. We're portaling like everybody else. And then obviously we've got to start recruiting the next recruiting class so that this isn't like coaching in the NBA when the season's over. You just go away and the front office takes over. We are the front office.
It feels like the coaching aspect of this is the easier part of all of this. It's crazy to say that, but it feels that way.
Yeah, I've said it for years, man. Dan, it's like the best part of the day is practice time. The most fun part and the most natural part is watching, is absorbing your opponent's film and pregame locker room. I mean, that's the part that feels the best, makes the most sense. Once you start getting into NIL valuation negotiations and obviously, try and it's hard, I guess, when you're talking to players in your own program and you've got to convince them that it's in their best interest to stay in the best program in the country. Like, feels like that should go without saying that you should stay in the best program in the country.
Let's say you're recruiting me. When can I bring up NIL when it doesn't make you nervous about what my priorities are?
Once you're convinced that you want to come to UConn, we'll go through a visit and it'll never come up, or maybe it's the last thing that comes up, or it's got to be a situation where you love the culture, you love the style of play. Myself and the coaching staff are the people that you want to play for. You love the team and you want to be a part of that locker room. You want to play in the Big East and you love you love our player development and the holistic approach that we take to our players. And then obviously the NIL has got to be good enough for you. But I think right now, like what UConn brings to the table in terms of we're going to teach you how to fish, which is going to last you a lifetime, and we're not just going to kind of throw you fish that's going to feed you for a day. And we want people that have that balance and that perspective where they're not trying to go to the highest bidder. They're looking for the best combination of NIL and program to excel in.
Okay, but if I say all those things, I love the culture, I want to be here, I'm buying in, I'm going to play defense, I'm going to play hard, and I'd like $500,000. Like, can I do it that way?
As long as it's reasonable and it lines up with I guess close to what the market is. But uh, there's a lot of unreasonable numbers.
Okay, give me an unreasonable number. No names, just an unreasonable number.
I think I heard 1.3 from a collective, um,
Okay.
last year, and I'm not sure that is is what the spirit of NIL was. I think the spirit of NIL was like, I take advantage of name, image, and likeness in a manner of like the way a Donovan Clingan did this year. Huge personality, incredible player on the court, and then what he did this year in endorsements off the court. I don't think I could share that number with you because the IRS is going to be coming for him.
Well, no, he has to report it to the IRS anyway.
Yeah, but hey, listen, these kids, they bring a lot of value. Obviously, March Madness, brings billions of dollars or whatever that number is. I think when we get to revenue sharing and contracts, I think that's going to be a happy day for a lot of coaches. I think for a lot of players, because I think a lot of schools too, they embellish the number for players, and then they don't come through on the promise too. So kids end up picking a worse school because they think it's more money. And then a lot of the collectives, or some of the collectives actually don't even come through.
I got 2 years of eligibility left. No, I'm just saying. Like you took your son, I mean, you should be able to take me, right?
Well, we don't rely on players that are electrifying off the dribble, which is what I don't think you are. I actually think you have a chance to play in our system because we're going to move you around off the ball. We're going to help you to get shots.
Is this a verbal offer, Coach? I just want to make sure.
I think you could help our brand a lot.
You think I could?
Bring in NIL for the good players. So if I've got to use my 13th scholarship, that guy's not going to play anyway. So.
And I don't need NIL.
You're going to bring NIL.
I am bringing NIL. That's my nickname. I'm NIL.
NIL Dan.
Let me know when practice starts, Coach. I'll be there. All right?
June 1.
All right.
June 1.
Hey, thank you, bud.
Later, Dan. Appreciate you.
That's Dan Hurley, head basketball coach, Connecticut. Sounded like an offer to me.
You're in.
I think you're in.
Sound like an offer. Marvin, now I'm
Come on.
I'm one of
Your
you.
family now. Let's go. UConn Magazine, come back.
Yeah. I'm going to be the centerfold in UConn Magazine.